Traditions, much like rules, are often made to be broken.
I can't believe you literally took my soundbite.
You see me smiling? I can
Give it
read
back to
your
me.
mind. I'll give you something, but it won't be the traditions. Next.
Traditions are made to be broken.
I'll give you something, but it won't be tradition.
I literally, you know what? Start the show.
Dead ass.
1, 2, 3.
It all started with real talk, unfiltered, honest, and straight from the heart. Since then, we've gone on to become Webby Award-winning podcasters and New York Times best-selling authors.
Deadass was more than a podcast for us. It was about our growth. A place where we could be vulnerable, be raw.
Pause. But most importantly, be us.
But as we know, life keeps evolving, and so do we. And through it all, one thing has never changed.
This is Ellis Ever After. Dead ass.
Because we got a lot to talk about.
All right. Story time. This is a tradition I couldn't wait to break because it broke my heart every time it happened.
What
Right.
was it?
So
Did it have anything to do with me?
No.
Okay,
It had
good.
nothing to do with you. I'm gonna take y'all back to 1992. 1992. I'm 8 years old. All right.
Wow.
School just lets out. 2nd grade. Parents drive us down to Tennessee. There with my grandparents. We having a good time. You know, every night we play spades, right? One morning I wake up. I'm looking around for my mom and my dad. They gone.
No.
And when I
that's
mean
too-
gone, they put us to bed the night before like everything was going to be the same. And when we woke up, they were no longer in Tennessee. And we didn't see them for 8 weeks.
Wow.
They
That's
just left.
devastating as an 8-year-old.
Yeah. In the
Yeah.
middle of the night, just you wake up. And then my grandparents were like, in their minds, it was, you don't harp on this. They'll get over it. I get up, where's my mom and dad? They went back to New York. Don't start that crying now. All right. So I'm
Trauma.
8. My parents just left me in the middle of the night. My grandmother, my grandfather told me not to cry about it. I'm going to just go back in the room with my brother. And the first thing I did was tell Brian that mommy and daddy was gone, and he started crying. And I was just like, you cannot go out there
Oh
crying.
my God. Did you guys console each other?
We did. We did. We was like,
we all we got.
Yo, like, how they gonna do this every time? I told y'all they was going to leave. They said they wasn't going to leave and they left. We did all of that. Crying.
And your parents never felt bad about it, huh?
Nope. Nope, not
Summer
one
after
bit.
summer after summer. Similar thing happened to me. My mom had gotten my aunt to come by the night before they were supposed to leave. We didn't know they were going anywhere. I had to have been about 5 because Tristan was a baby. He was like maybe a year old. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, my aunt is by. She was my favorite aunt at the time. I'm like, we're having a good little night. Go to bed. Wake up the next morning. My parents are gone. Similar thing. I don't understand what it was about them not wanting to have the conversation with us about us leaving. Or maybe they didn't want to break our hearts by letting us know that they were leaving. Not sure what it was.
I think they didn't want to break their own hearts. So they were like, let's just go. Because I know my mom would have saw us crying probably and would have been like, Troy,
Troy,
we
we
could
should
just
stay.
take. Yup.
Or we could take him back.
And my father wanted his wife. And it was like, no, Karen, no, we're leaving right now. Come on. Don't look back. That's my father. I know that was my
You
father.
know
My
that was your
got
father.
no patience. And he was ready to get up
He
out
gonna
of
do
here.
what's best for him first.
Yes.
For sure. For sure.
Are you ready to go to the gym? Like, you're just not answering me.
Oh, I'm deaf now because I can't.
Huh?
Why are you so loud?
What?
Why do you have your headphones on in the house? Take them off.
I
You're
can't
mad.
hear you.
Take
Are you
take
ready to
off
go
your
to the gym?
headphones.
What?
You're mad loud, bro. Mad loud. This guy got headphones for his birthday and don't know how to act. He walking around the house with headphones on, yelling at everybody.
Are you done telling my business? First of all,
You mad loud.
that I had the headphones on, so I couldn't hear myself.
Right.
I was talking.
Because you be in your own world all the time. Exactly. Thoughts in your own head. You be entertaining your own self with your own thoughts.
You know the best
How
thing-
vain are you?
You know what the best thing about these headphones? When you start talking, I just hit this button.
Yeah, whatever. Huh? Just don't start yelling at me again. He's so stupid. Look at him. Look at him. A mess. Don't slip and fall now. Don't slip and fall. Such an idiot. Look at him. Look at him.
Karaoke time.
Speaking of the year, I said 1992. Do you remember where we were? Tennessee.
Oh.
Tennessee, Tennessee. Tennessee, Lord, I really been real stressed. Down and out. losing rest.
This is a
Although I'm
throwback.
black and proud, the
Mm.
hard times got me pessimistic. Take me to another place. Take me to another land. Make me forget all that hurts me. Let me understand your plan. I didn't know what their plan was. Because that shit hurt. Shout out to Arrested Development, 1992.
For understanding your plight that early on in life.
Yes. It was so perfect for what I was going through at that time.
No, for real. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. All right, y'all, let's take a quick break. We're going to come back in and we're going to talk about traditions that we have decided to break. I'm interested to hear what Josh, Matt, and Triple have to input in this. So we'll be back first, though, with Op or No Op. Stay tuned.
Oh, man, pleasure, man. Keep doing everything you can, man. A lot of fans out there.
You got the shoes on today.
Did you think I was gonna come out here without my sneakers? Y'all ready?
Oh, yeah.
I wish. Anthony,
What's up?
my God, I'm gonna go inside and ice my back. God.
Walking.
Remember when I used to make jokes about K having a glam team? Starting to put my glam squad together, and Brandon is definitely part of it. This is his whole spot. House of Gray. It's a real speakeasy type spot, you know? But Brandon been stopping everybody for the past 10 plus years.
All right, we're back. It seems like you're okay now, though. You were able to get over it because you guys went back to Tennessee several years, and I guess you just realized that that was going to be the norm. School was going to end, and the next morning, you guys were going to be out.
We never even went back home after school. My Aunt Monique, shout out to my Aunt Monique, used to pick us up from PS 235, 208, or Bethlehem Baptist Academy, whichever school we were in that time. And as soon as dismissal happened, we was in her Hyundai and on a 13-hour drive to Tennessee.
Dang, you couldn't even go home and collect your things?
No, because
gather your belongings?
Don't let them think they're going to stay here, all right? Take them right to Tennessee right now. Plus, it was Brooklyn in the 90s. It wasn't the safest place for kids to be out in the street.
Yeah,
We
especially if
lived
your
in
parents had to
Flatbush.
work still, too.
Yeah, they both had to work. I understand it now because childcare is too expensive. And if you have grandparents that's going to watch them for free, like, nah, don't have them in the streets for 8 weeks in Brooklyn. Send them somewhere where they can do things that don't hurt people, like tip cows and climb trees and stuff.
So do you feel like now as an adult in retrospect, having your own children, that it robbed you of summertime memories with your parents, or it just enriched your opportunities to spend time with your grandparents?
Wow, that's actually a really good question. I think that my parents did the best thing they could with the opportunities they had, right? Like back in those days, socioeconomically, both parents had to work, and both my parents worked 9 to 5s. And you have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. What are you going to do with them? Because camps in those times cost thousands of dollars per week. And my parents, we weren't wealthy. My dad was working multiple jobs and my mom worked for the city. So they did what they had to. So I feel like they did what was in the best interest of not only them, but was for the family. Because I adore my grandparents to this day because of the 8 weeks that I spent with them in Tennessee. Like everything that I've learned about bid whist, how to cook, how to clean. It was like a boot camp for 8 weeks of how to become an adult.
Yeah.
And I appreciate my parents for that. Now, it hurt in the moment, because no one ever wants to just be left out of the plan. Even if you ate, you want to know, like, hey, we're going to drive you there. We'll be there for a week with y'all, but then we're leaving.
Right.
So I feel like that part was a little traumatic.
Right.
And I kind of lost trust from my parents. When they used to say things to me after that, I didn't believe them.
You second guessed it.
I second guessed everything. So when
you would
they
have preferred they were straightforward. Like, we're going to be leaving.
Yeah.
Say goodbye.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
One time my mom went out of town and somebody from church, her name was Denisha, she came to babysit us. The same thing in the middle of the night. And I used to sleep in my mom's bed. I used to go get in my mom's bed and I would sleep with my one arm and one leg wrapped around her. And so I wake up with my arm and my leg wrapped around Denisha's head. I didn't know Denisha was there.
That's where it started.
Yeah,
that's right there where it started. You said Denisha.
Oh, I kind of like this.
Denisha was kind of thick too.
No, but that fucked you up, didn't it?
No, but I'll never forget that. I was just like, damn.
How did it
made me think about just getting in somebody's bed, wrapping my body around them though, because you never know who's up in there.
What?
It makes you a little more cautious.
Remember when she became Goldilocks? That's where you got that from?
Yeah.
That's right. You did that
Goldilocks
in
is
college.
crazy.
She did. Yo.
Goldilocks is
Now we see where the
Y'all
trauma
remember
came
too
from.
much shit. Like,
Yep.
We remember
Yo,
it.
we're
Let
not
it
gonna let it
go.
go.
So
Let
now
that
your
shit go.
mother's that's the origin story. Denisha's the reason why you broke into that young lady's apartment and slept in her bed. Now we all know. We understand you better, Tribble. Parents, y'all see what y'all do to us?
Listen,
That's
you don't
why I am
realize
the
how
way
it's
I
going to
am
be
with Kay.
traumatic. Yeah.
When Kay goes away, I'm like, where you going? What time you leaving? You leaving right now?
Mm-hmm.
I am
Did you
the
kiss me
same
goodbye?
exact way.
You are?
Yeah, where you going? You didn't call me when you got there. What's happening?
Yep.
Yeah. That's me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Yeah. Will never happen again.
No.
There's been many a times I've gotten places and I just got wrapped up in the moment. And he'd be like, yo, did you get there? I'm like, oh God, here he go. My bad.
And I'm not doing that to the kids.
Mm-hmm.
We make it a point. Your mom, remember we used to go on date nights and Kyra would be crying?
Yep.
And she'd be like, why you do this and tell him, and why don't you just leave? And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I want them to know when we're going, and I want to be clear that we're coming back so that they
Mhm.
trust us
Right.
when we're leaving. And now it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
When we say we're leaving, they know we're coming back.
Right.
You know?
Right. All right. Op or no op? What we got today?
Well, we got Black Power on the docket today.
Come on now.
I just want to make sure that you know and we know
Okay.
what it's about over here. But I saw a really interesting clip. There's this documentary on Hulu. It's called The 1619 Project. Have you seen it?
Mm-hmm.
Did I see it?
It's been
No,
out
you
for a
haven't
little
seen it. It's
bit
been
of
out for a
time.
minute.
Okay.
What's it called?
Yeah, the
The
1619
Ava DuVernay
Project.
I think it came
No.
out in 2020.
It's Nicole Hannah-Jones. She's a journalist. And she did this piece for like the New York Times or something a while ago about the 1619 Project. It turned into a book. And then they did a
Oh, I did see that.
documentary about it. But in
Mhm.
this clip, she's talking to an expert about the racial wealth gap, which we all know about.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought this was an interesting thing to bring up to DeVal and the rest of the group. Because basically this expert is saying that no matter what obstacles Black people kind of reach or whatever milestones they reach, they still don't close the racial wealth gap. So she asked about marriage. Does marriage close the racial wealth gap for Black families? And he said that white families with two-parent household have 2 times the wealth as Black families with two-parent households. College degrees don't close the racial wealth gap. Black head of households with a college degree have about 2/3 of the wealth as a white head of household who didn't
Never
graduate from
graduated
high school.
Yeah.
And then she asked, what about savings? Because people always say Black people need financial literacy. They need to save more money. And he said, actually, when you compare income categories, Black people save just as much or more than white families and still don't close the racial wealth gap. So I want to know,
You want to know why?
Yeah, I would like to hear.
I have an opinion. The reason why is because of land. It's because of land. Most white families now who have generational wealth have gotten that generational wealth after 400 years of stealing from Black people.
Mhm.
So you're never going to make up that wealth gap in a generation, right? So you figure 400 years, 1619 Project, it's 2025. That's 400 years. So you figure a generation is about 25 years. So you figure every century has 4 generations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been 400 years, 4 generations. That's 16 generations of a wealth gap created, and we are trying to make up for it in 10 years.
So we'll never see it.
We will never see it.
Especially with systems in place to not allow us
Talk about it.
to
Talk
be
about
able
it.
to begin to start to close the gaps.
Yes.
It's systematic at this point.
And the reason why
systemic.
it happens is because of things like redlining, right? Things like insurance fraud,
Mhm.
things like appraisal biases, where even if you purchase a home, your house will be appraised less than your white counterpart.
Yeah, I just saw
see?
another video of a Black man in New York who was selling, and we know how much those brownstones in New York are going for. They appraised his for less than $1 million, which is crazy. And so then he
Less
took
than
all
$1
the
million?
pictures.
Where?
Yes.
In New York?
No,
and
listen to this though.
He took all of the pictures of himself, his Black family down,
Yes.
and he had them come out and do it again, and they appraised it for $500,000 more. Yeah.
I
and
remember
this and
hearing
it's
something
things like that. It's the when people
Yeah.
say to me what racism is.
Right.
Racism is not someone calling you a nigger.
Mm-hmm.
That's not racism. That's bigotry.
Mm-hmm.
That's ignorance,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Racism is systemic.
Yes.
Racism is preventing a group of people from building, right? Racism is the Tulsa, Oklahoma bombings, right? When you say, well, let them do their thing on their own. And then when they try,
right,
you systematically get rid of them.
Or
right?
violently.
Or violently get
Yeah.
rid of them. And there are no consequences and repercussions for
that.
anybody who does it. It's currently happening today, like right now.
Right now.
In our country, it's happening right now. With dismantling of DEI, you know, with taking away Medicare, right? What happens is because Medicare and Medicaid affects Black people and people of color at a higher rate than it affects white people, right? When you take away DEI and you allow biases to be allowed in the workplace, so now someone can honestly say, I don't want to hire you because you're Black or because you're gay or because of your religious distinction. Now that's okay. How do you stop people who are making the laws? Because I think most of the government is still compiled of 60 to 70-year-old white men. 60 to 70-year-old white men were born in the 50s. So they grew up at a time where segregation was normal. Those are the people making the laws now, and they don't care about what's happening to us. So no, the generational wealth gap won't change amongst Black and white people in the next 10 years. It's going to take another 400 years. But we have to start now. It's daunting. I know.
Yeah, it's a lot.
daunting.
Because
It
I was
is.
also thinking about those men, like you said, that are white men, 60, 70, 80 years old. The trickle-down effect. I'm wondering at what point will there be a shift in the mindset, if there ever will be? Or is it that they're so indoctrinated in that they've indoctrinated their children, so those people who are now going to be in office will continue to keep those systems in place?
I mean, let's be fair, if I'm them and I'm in a position of power, do I give up my position of power?
Right.
So we can't expect them to give up their position of
that's
power.
right.
But what we also have to realize is that we're not stuck doing anything or staying here, right? Like there are other ways to live. We don't have to live underneath this system, right? We also don't have to live with them in this system. We can do things and buy our own land and create for ourselves. You know, I'm not a big proponent of trusting or believing or listening or waiting for the government to do anything for me and my family. So from this moment on, we just got to build with each other, y'all. Like, why continue to wait?
Deal with each other.
I think too, something that was happening in Gaza and has been happening over the last 2 years has taught me is that Black and brown people are the global majority. And the only thing that's keeping us from being a superpower is that we are disjointed, and that is by no mistake by white supremacy power structure. So Black people from the continent of Africa is the most mineral rich continent on the planet.
In the world, yes.
Everything that we have, everything that we make, the minerals come from Africa.
Yes.
So what if Africans said and African Americans said, we are only doing business with each other. We're taking white people out of the equation because the generational wealth gap is too wide. The poverty in Africa is too stark. Black Americans have resources that can be used for Africans who have resources that can be used for Americans. So why not do it together? Like I think that's what it's going to take.
That's what it should take.
I saw a clip and I showed it to you. There's this guy that walks around. I don't know his page. I just, Instagram feed you stuff. But he pretty much would stop millionaires, billionaires
I seen him
in transit and be saying, hey, when did you start your business? How did you become wealthy? Do you have any advice for people? And you remember this one particular white man he's like, how are you going to continue to grow your wealth? And he was like, Africa. This white man said, Africa.
Yeah.
And I was so triggered for a moment because I was like, so that's going to be your meal ticket to be a trillionaire is you're going to go to Africa to pretty much.
That's been it though. King Leopold did the same thing in the
I
Congo.
know, but it's just like
from salt,
the
the gall to just say it.
From the Kush dynasty that had salt and gold mines. Since then, before slavery, ancient civilizations, all trade started in Africa.
You know what we have to start doing is realizing that the value doesn't come in the currency, right? Think about the wealthy people here who live in America. They want to go back to the islands and spend time on the islands with the island people, right? So why are so many island people in a rush to come to America to get this life that is not real when all of the people here are trying to get to the islands? We have to change the value system of what currency is. True currency isn't in money. Imagine you can live on your own little 3 acres in an island where you can get fresh fish, you can get cows, you can get vegetables on your own, and you can raise your family the way you want to without having government interference.
Listen, that's looking more and more enticing
Yeah,
to
that
me
sounds-
How
day
much
by
money
day,
would you need for
honey.
that?
Day by
Not
day.
a lot, right?
Yeah.
Take this dual citizenship and move this family to Jamaica. Like,
Seriously.
Yeah.
The true
Seriously.
value of life is not in currency.
nope,
It's
Yeah.
not.
nope.
We need to start recognizing that as a people. If we recognize that as a people, we wouldn't be in the situation we are. Because since we think it's currency, we try to get our currency to match up to them.
Mhm.
But that's not what's value to us. To me, value is eating fresh food and living the way I want to live
Yep,
peacefully.
grounding, yeah.
You know what I'm
all
saying?
that.
I don't value wars. I don't value owning an oil field so that I can just make more money to say that I have more money than someone else.
Mhm.
That isn't value. And I think we as a people need to change our value systems.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I had to have my little
I know how you
moment
do,
for
Tribble.
revolution real quick.
Tribble,
And-
you know I'm with you,
Absolutely.
baby.
Y'all
I'm
might
with
not
you.
know it yet, but I'm
Absolutely.
brainwashing y'all right now.
Might not know it.
We all know
What
it,
did Dr.
Tribble.
Umar say? I want black power. I can't stand that guy, but so before we get into the meat of the show, I thought we've talked a lot about millennials delaying marriage and people not getting married and not having kids, but I saw something recently, a stat recently that said men with no kids and no plans for marriage are the fastest growing demographic. I think we normally talk about it in terms of women delaying marriage because they're focused on their careers or they don't want to have kids, but now they're saying 63% of men under 30 are single, and many are not actively looking to be married or to have kids.
Mm.
So, op or no op?
Interesting.
These niggas is weak. That's what I say.
Focus
Wish
on
you
yourself, King.
Go ahead, Matt.
Focus on
That's
yourself,
the
King.
Let me ask a question.
That's
though,
a
to y'all
married
too.
man saying
Okay.
that.
Because
Yup.
y'all are ladies. Let me ask you because y'all are ladies,
Mhm.
right? If you have sons,
Mhm.
right?
I do.
And you look at the climate, the way they're talking about marriage on social media, and women are equating marriage to just money and all of the things a man is supposed to do to make himself worthy to be married to her, but it comes with no qualifications for a woman. Why would you be in a rush to get married if you was a man?
No, I completely get it. And I see that. And having sons, it makes me really kind of reassess things. But I've also had the conversation with some women who I know who are still single.
Mhm.
And I've had very candid conversations to say, hey, the type of man that you want to pull, are you the type of woman that kind of man would want?
But what standard is
And-
that for a woman? Because we have yet to hear on social media what that standard is for a woman. We know what the standard is for a man. Got to be 6 foot, got to have six figures, got to have abs, you got to be able to fuck all day, you got to be emotionally aware and secure and love God. We know all the standards for a man that women require. What is the
Mhm.
standards for a woman?
Yeah, I don't know. And social media is the wrong place to try to find that too.
Yeah.
But that's why more men are saying marriage ain't worth it. Because
Yeah.
also if I marry you,
Mhm.
you're entitled to half of all of my assets. So then what's the financial value for marriage in this day and age unless you value marriage? See, for me, I don't listen to social media for my validations for why I get married. I get married for my own personal reasons.
Mhm.
And I don't need anybody else to tell me why I need to value marriage. But if there's a generation of people who are not being raised by parents,
Right.
and they're being raised by these bots, and they're being raised by phones, and they're being raised by messages on television
And podcasts.
and podcasts.
Not including Ellis Ever
No,
After. We
'cause
try to
we-
give sound
no,
advice.
yes.
I'm,
You know what I'm saying?
culture in
I'm
general.
raising you
Pop
niggas.
culture in general. Yeah.
We
What's
all
the
are my
value?
sons. I'm raising y'all for real. Everybody listening,
Oh, these
call me
is my son.
mommy.
But no, I have a serious question though, because Tribble said these niggas is weak. What is the value proposition that makes marriage valuable to a man these days based on everything we've seen in pop culture?
I think that if men want to continue the population of humans, you have to get married and
No,
have
you don't.
have
You
kids.
can have kids. You don't got to get
What?
married.
You can, but I mean,
There's
how
just more
many women
broken
are going to
homes.
do that? You know, if women are saying that men don't just deserve pussy, they got to pay for it. You don't deserve my womb, you have to provide for it. Then you do got to get married to have kids. So, if that's what you're looking for,
So here's the thing, because y'all like to put everything on men.
because they said this stat also says they are not actively looking to marry or have kids.
Right. So
Actively.
and they're not actively looking, but you said if women are saying y'all don't deserve pussy, you got to pay for it. All women aren't saying that, and there's
No.
plenty of women who are just giving it up. So if you're a man and you don't value marriage or kids, and there's plenty of women who only value their jobs and they willing to give up the pussy for a man, why would he get married? If there's
But
women
there's a
who don't
contingent of
value
women who
marriage.
also don't want to get married and don't want to have children either. Some
And I'm
women are out
saying-
there just wanting to have a good time too.
And I'm saying, and I agree with you. So I'm saying is if those women exist and there are men like that, what's the value proposition for a man to get married if there's women out there that I can just have frivolous sex with?
Well, I think that
Yeah.
invalidates your previous point because you're saying that there are women who hold different ideals than each other. So there are
Mhm.
all women aren't saying that men
Right.
have to have a
Mhm.
certain amount of money or whatever to get married. There are women who
Right.
are dating below their pay grade. There
Mhm.
are women who are having kids out of wedlock. There are women who aspire to marriage, who want to be traditional wives or whatever that means. But sometimes either we're focusing on the loud minority, people are not. I think too, it's the lack of the third space, the lack of like in-person social interaction, the lack of
Agreed.
social skills that people
Mhm.
have. We don't know how to talk to people.
Agreed.
I more so than I see women, saying that men need to have this, and that on social media, because my algorithm is probably different than yours.
Mm.
I see women posting screenshots of their text messages with men who have hissy fits when they're asked to plan a date. Or if a guy says, "Can you hang out today?" And she says, "No, you can plan something I'm available in a couple days." And he says, "Well, this is why XYZ." Or a man says, I saw a text message where a guy went to visit a woman that he met online and she didn't pay for his hotel. And he was mad, like, you should have paid for my flight and you should have. I'll be seeing stuff like that. So I think that it's a lot of the loud minority that's sharing their stories. And I also think that dating is a very modern concept. Like back in the day, people married for convenience when women couldn't own property, when women couldn't
Very
vote,
true.
when they couldn't really work. And now that we have more choices, I think that women are allowed to say what they want and what they will tolerate from a man or from anybody that's asking them for their womb, for their time, for their effort. So I think that's what's happening. And men aren't used to that. Men aren't used to having stipulations on what it takes to be a husband, honestly, or to be
I
with
think
a
that's
woman.
cap, Tribble. I think that's cap.
I don't know.
I think
Because
it's
I'm
cap.
I'm a
I think
lesbian,
it's-
so I
I
really
think-
can't say. I can only
Yeah, and it's hard to
I
talk in
feel
like
that, but I gotta-
generalizations.
But I got to point this out.
I get those. I see those texts too, man. Am I
Yeah.
Nah,
Yeah, you on lesbian talk.
Right.
now.
But I've also seen women, right, in passing, who are like, let me hit up homeboy because I know I can get a meal and I can get, a bag or whatever this
Right.
case may be,
Yep.
depending on what
Right.
they're in the market for. Some women are
Talk
in the
about
market
it.
just to be wined and dined.
Talk
But
and
about
they
it.
really
Or to have a
no
house.
Doing
intentions
that.
of
Talk
that.
about it.
You have to have the discernment to be like, okay, is this the kind of woman that I know
Yep.
I want to either date, that I want to marry, that I don't want to marry, that I just want to have a good time with?
Mm-hmm.
That's my point. My point is they are both. Let those jokers
Find
play
each
with
other.
Mm-hmm.
Those jokers don't represent those people who want to get married. That's why I'm never going to place a blame on any particular gender.
Yeah.
Because for every fuck boy you can find, I can find a city girl.
Mhm.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm never going to say, oh, it's the men, niggas ain't shit. Because then I could come up here and say bitches ain't shit. But I'm not going to say that.
Right.
The women you date or the women you see that are treating you that way says more about the women you choose, not all the women on earth. And it's the same thing for men. So you have a bunch of texts of men who get hissy fits. Why you keep choosing men who have hissy fits? Why don't you choose a man who is emotionally intelligent? You want to know why they won't? Because when you come across a man who is emotionally intelligent, who has boundaries, who has standards, most women can't deal with that.
Well, these text messages be like, it was the first, this happened
It's like a
after the
dating
first
app.
date. Yeah, it's like either it's on the dating app or right before the first date or right after the first date.
I wonder if people just be like trolling people, like
They
because
do.
for that to just be
Absolutely. At
the
this
first
point, I
step,
think
like
I
that
am.
doesn't
I
even
think
sound
I'm
like
getting
it
trolled.
makes sense. And
It's-
people tend to be a product of their environment. So my op
Yes.
is considering that I have 4 boys. My boys see Deval and I. They see also a lot of married couples who we hang out with who also have children that they converse with and socialize with. So I think the norm for my boys will be, hey, I want to have a healthy
Yes.
marriage with
Yes.
children. And,
that's what they see.
Kyra will say it, and I think it's a joke, but I think he's dead ass serious. He's like, yeah, I want to have 6 kids. My wife and I are going to get a house, and then you and daddy can live
I think you
like
should believe
Mimi and
him.
Papa.
Yeah, you
Cairo
should.
is
Yeah.
Deval Jr.
Deval
He
Jr.
believes it.
He's
And
gonna
I
do that.
and I believe that he will be that kid that grow
Yes.
into a man who values that. So really, it tends to be, to your point, babe,
Yes.
who you surround yourself with,
Yes.
the type of people that you pick. And if you're a man that's just like, you know what, I don't aspire to be married and I want to be single and not have any any children, don't put nobody through that
Yes.
that trauma of doing the other
That's
the
how
other
I
side
feel.
of it.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. Like the people who are doing that and putting stuff on social media typically are looking for a response. They're looking for engagement. So it's going to be the most outlandish thing. The same way dudes will put up that, oh, I asked the chick to go out and she expects to do this. I'm like, dude, you keep picking the same women. I'm not going to keep having empathy for you. Let those people who play those games together. There are a contingent of people. The percentage is about 69% of men. Who did they ask? I want to know who's the 69%. So you ask 2,000 people. There are 8 billion people in the world. You ask 2,000 people, and now you're saying 69% of men say this? That's not even 1% of the population that
Nobody
you even
asked you, huh?
Nobody asked, and that's my point.
I don't ever be in these stats. Nobody never asked me.
I'm no longer dealing with those stats. We all, as a community of people, have to start realizing, right, that there's a lot of bullshit on this freaking app. There's a lot of bullshit on this freaking TV, right? You have to look at your surroundings and say to yourself, if
my surroundings are bullshit.
Yeah, no, but you gotta say
That's funny.
I got bullshitty
Funny, but that's
surroundings.
facts.
You got a midlife crisis.
Right. If I'm not getting what I want out of my life based on these people around me that I can touch, I need to change
Change
my
my
circumstance. I need
environment.
to change my environment and stop blaming the opposing gender because I can't find what I'm looking for in a man or a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, that conversation to me is freaking dead.
And that's for both sides.
That's absolutely. Because it's the same thing with dudes. I got young boys that I mentor now, and all they keep showing me is bullshit about girls. And I keep saying, yo, you can't show me this when I know women who don't act like this.
Yeah.
Right.
You can't show me that. Nah, but Coach DeVal, you ain't dating. I know that I'm not dating. I get that. But you're showing me the same type of woman over and over and over again. There's
and that
4
BS,
billion.
that BS is the precursor for those stats. Like, it is the reason why those stats are what it is.
Absolutely.
Because after that, I'm going to be a passport bro. I'm going to go to
You see?
Thailand. I'm going to go to DR, and I'm going to just live this life because this is what I think is the answer to all the BS that I see on social media.
Nah.
When you're not even really existing fully in real life.
And that's the problem with social media. People think they know a lot because they can see other parts of the world through their phone, but don't realize, like Tribble said, your algorithm is going to send you what you've already been looking at. So if I've been looking at women doing fucked up shit to dudes, you know what they're going to keep sending me? Women
More of
doing,
that.
and then I'm going to start believing that this is all women when that's not the case. Like, yo, there's 8 billion people in the world. Only 680 million users are on X. So that's less than 1% of the world's population is on X. But then we go to X and say, based on X, that's not even a full, that's not even a full sample size of what the whole world is going through. So you can't even use that as an example. That's why I'm starting to call BS on a lot of these things.
Right.
Because I'm like, it just don't make sense. So everybody in the world don't want to get married. Everybody in the world just want to fuck off and not make no money. There's no way. I've seen too many good people, like
too many good people
in arm's reach to believe that.
We literally went to a birthday party for a good friend of ours 2 weeks ago, a 40th birthday party. And let me tell you about the number of Black, married happy couples that were in that room. Matt was there with his wife.
Yeah.
Loving on each other, having a good time. Husbands, you know, having their conversations, wives on the dance floor. Then they get together on the dance floor. Like, we had a time in that space.
Yeah.
Because we surround ourselves with the same kind of like-minded people who aspire to continue in happy married lifestyles. So you got to change your circumstance and your environment for sure.
Facts.
Must be nice.
Come on, Tribble. Come over to the dark side of marriage, man. Where we happy.
Where we happy.
Come over to the
Come
dark
over to the
The side
happy
they say
dark
is so
side.
dark.
Now, it ain't as much engagement. When you post a happy picture on social media, people be pissed.
No, for
But
sure.
let me post that I hate my wife on social media. Oh my God.
Oh, forget it.
Oh my God. You know
Forget
what I'm saying?
It's
Forget
funny.
it. They looking
I
for
get
reasons
more
to hate us.
engagement when I post my wife in my stuff. If I post that I get more. It's a weird situation.
Well, you
And
get that because you don't post your wife often.
No, it's not that. It's probably because the people that follow me want to see that.
True. You are a wedding
True, you're a
photographer
wedding
too. People want to
photographer,
see
yeah.
a happily married couple.
That is true.
Yeah.
That makes sense. You're a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
So of course, people on your page is looking for love.
You guys get more engagement on your stuff that's if podcast related.
Yes, when it's
You'll
family.
get more stuff when it's y'all two or
Right.
family related than
Right.
any other thing.
Yeah,
That's
Absolutely.
true.
But I'll tell you like this. Go to the shade room and let them post good Black news of the day. And them comments be at 67 comments.
Yeah,
Wait, this was 18 hours ago? Good Black news and it's 67 comments. But let them post something salacious.
Yeah.
It's 5 57,000 comments in
Absolutely.
15 minutes.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? It's like people are drawn to negativity. And I'm not gonna let the conversation continue to be something negative about love and marriage. I've seen too many good marriages recently, especially going to Martha's Vineyard and meeting all of these super successful Black people there with families, and their families are building, and their young kids are talking to other young kids. And I'm like, see, if they started a Martha's Vineyard page with all of the success and the love going on there, it'd be a different algorithm.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
It's almost like things like that are still
Yeah.
a good place. It's like, let's
Keep
not
that
even
off social.
keep that off
please.
social. Them little pockets of happiness. Let's
feel
keep
you.
them pockets of happiness
I feel you.
quiet.
Yeah.
I
I
feel
was
you.
just thinking about this, like, man, I bet I would get a lot of engagement if I had a girlfriend that just wanted to do pranks. I hate the couples that do
Hell yeah,
pranks,
you
but I'm
would.
like,
Absolutely.
come on, let's do some pranks, man. I'll do some pranks.
Come on. Anybody out there want to do pranks with Tribble?
Who wants to do pranks?
on.
I hate pranks, but you want to
You
do
know,
pranks?
And the
let's-
pranks
let's do
gotta
pranks.
look so bad. I'll give you a perfect example. Remember when me and the funny salesman pranked them in BET?
Oh, yeah, BT Weekend.
BET Weekend,
Oh,
me and the
yeah.
funny salesman did we set up the whole thing. We did 3 stories, and it was all negative. I think it got 11 million views. 11. He does positive stuff for trying to help people all the time, and it averages about 250,000. But then he asked me if I wanted to do a skit, and I said, we're going to have to do something different because I'm a nice guy and you're a nice guy. They're not going to believe anything is going to happen if you're just nice, and so let's do something different. And we did that skit where I didn't want to buy it. Got 11 million views.
Yeah.
Because negativity
I couldn't even
sells.
watch it. I couldn't even watch it because I love that guy. I was like, this is so mean. I
My
hate
aunt,
it.
too. My aunt was like, DeVal, man, like, I was like, it's a skit, bro.
And there were so many people that still to this day probably didn't even realize that was a skit.
Yeah.
Now, it took him a
Yeah.
couple weeks, finally.
People
Bruh.
DM'd me on Facebook like, was he really being mean to that guy? I was like, yo, they call the cops. It was crazy. He went a few days later. I had to go back. I was like, oh, my bad, bro. I was just joking. It's not real.
Right, right.
People didn't realize that it wasn't real, but that also shows you how much they run to negativity.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody
they love
like
that.
you not looking for negativity, so you couldn't watch it.
It's
but
true.
a lot of people,
They were waiting for
They
a
were
moment for
waiting for a
DeVal.
moment.
DeVal's always so positive. We caught him now. He's being negative.
Aha.
Aha. We knew that he wasn't.
then
Yeah.
then they got
Bruh.
mad when he made a follow-up video saying that it was a skit. Then all the comments, we knew it was a skit the whole time. No,
Cap.
you didn't.
Cap.
No, you didn't. Y'all didn't know it was a
You
skit.
did
Can't
it.
tell
You
a
did it.
lavalier for nothing.
Fact.
I had a mic on, bro.
Yeah.
To this
Insane.
day, it still blows my mind. People are nuts.
So y'all have followed the tradition of being married and
Mhm.
being parents, but so I want to know, like, what traditions are you breaking from now that you have your own families,
Mhm.
you got your own minds?
Yeah. We came up with a couple because we were
Yeah.
talking about this pre-show. And some are more lighthearted little things. And then others are more like, wow,
Yeah.
this can really change the
Yeah.
trajectory of our family dynamics moving forward. So I put together a little
Yeah, I wrote mine
1,
down
2.
too.
I just figured like a top 3 things. Like you guys can even come up with like 1 or 2 things within your family. But
I already said one.
which one was yours?
My first one was
Oh, story time,
the
right?
story time.
Yes.
But also just not sending my kids away for the summer.
Yeah.
Like that was a tradition that we changed because I felt like even as a kid, I wasn't with my family or my parents all year round. They were at work and I was at school. So now I'm off from school and I'm with my grandparents. When do I ever spend time with my parents?
Mm-hmm.
And with Jackson, Cairo, Kaz, and Dakota, last year, we noticed Dakota was a little speech delay, which was what we thought. And then Kaz struggled with some confidence issues. So we were very deliberate about spending time with them this summer. And we watched how they've just excelled in every aspect of life just by confidence, being able to say, hey, dad, or mom, can you teach me this?
Mm-hmm.
So a tradition we broke was just sending our kids away to someone else for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
We want our kids to be with us. And rather than us going away on our own mommy, daddy vacation, let's all do something together as a family and build that way.
Yeah, for sure. That and that for me, it's just first off, as a quick side note, it's been amazing to see how when you're deliberate with that time, how much the kids are like so locked in. And a part of it had to almost be like a programming process we had to put them through because we didn't realize how much just even having my parents live in with us, it also kind of it like negates some of the things that DeVal and I stand for and want to do just because they're being grandma and grandpa. So that kind of rule within Iron Fist and the discipline, like DeVal said recently, what did you say? You were the more You were I'm the more lenient parent.
Yeah, you're the more lenient parent.
Right. I
and
guess
I'm the
depending
more-
on what
Depending on what it is,
what it
because when it
is.
comes to school, no, because school, I be on top of them kids too.
Yeah.
But it's small.
But you're not a
things.
Jamaican mom, though.
No, I am not a Jamaican mom.
You're not
You
a
got
Caribbean
something
mom.
innate that you ain't never
Nah,
gonna have.
I'm not a Jamaican. I find ways with school to make it fun.
Yeah.
They gonna box their kids
Say
if they don't.
it. You
Yeah.
may box your teeth down your throat.
Don't box your teeth
You
down
may
your
box
throat.
you.
My
Actually-
favorite clip from last season was Josh like, what?
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 'Cause that's exactly how they are. What?
That is
You think
how
you're
they
bad? You think you're bad? You know? So in the
As far as
traditional
like waking up and going to bed late, she's still mom. So I'm just like, yo, we gotta wake up. We got training. She's like, they didn't sleep last night. Let them get it. And no, as a dad, I'm like, yo, we said we gonna get up at 10 o'clock. We need to be
Right.
up at 10 o'clock.
Right.
Going to bed at night. I'm like, yo, we got to be up in the morning, so y'all need to go to sleep. She's like, you know what? The school doesn't start for another 4 days. And I'm like, I thought the kitchen was closed at 11 o'clock. She's making biscuits, honey
I
butter
know,
biscuits
I
at
know.
12 a.m.
I'm just holding on so much to it because
Dang.
I'm
You know what I'm saying?
I'm probably the on the side of parents who are like not excited for their kids to go back to school.
Mhm.
Like I absolutely loved all the time that we spent together
I
this
did
summer,
too.
and part of me felt like a bit of a sadness with knowing that it was coming to an end and we have to start the routine of school again. So
I did too, but I'm happy they're going back to school because
yeah,
like it's a lot. And I guess it's because I'm the dad and I have 4 boys
Mhm.
and everything
all the
they want-
sports
all-
stuff
yeah,
and
it's
like
all me.
them being active is a lot of dad.
Yeah.
But then when they're done doing that, it's mom. What are we gonna eat for lunch? Mom, what are we gonna eat for dinner? I'm like, all the meals are on me. But when it comes to breaking tradition, so the first thing that came to mind for me was the tradition of always spending holidays with extended family.
That was mine.
Yeah.
Like we realized maybe it was like a year or two ago. I want to say it was Thanksgiving 2023. Kaz and Dakota were celebrating their birthdays that month. And I said, babe, why don't we do something different this year?
Mhm.
Instead of just getting around a table with a bunch of food that we don't even really eat no more
True.
to congregate with family, let's do something different. Let's take the kids away. And we took them to Mexico for Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
And we realized like a part of me felt guilty for a second because I'm like, his family's reaching out, like, what's the plans for Thanksgiving? Or, we want to
Right.
come down. My brother and my sister, like, we want to come down for Thanksgiving. And I kind of had to be like, no, we're going to try something different this year. And we took the kids away to Mexico. We had a non-traditional, Thanksgiving. There wasn't
Yeah.
no turkey. There weren't no greens. There wasn't no
Nah.
oxtail.
Guacamole.
Yeah,
That's
we
what
had
it
we had
was.
guacamole and tacos and the SpongeBob cake because we took them to the Nickelodeon resort. But it almost made me feel comfortable about giving us permission to do something different that wasn't contingent upon our extended family and what
Yeah.
they were gonna feel by not having us there for Thanksgiving. So
Yeah.
the happy medium was the following Thanksgiving, which was last year. We ended up going to see Nanny and Papa John.
Yeah.
And then we had the traditional Thanksgiving where we
Yeah.
ate the turkey and the
Yeah.
greens and the dressing. And Jackson was like, damn, that food was good.
Which was good too. Like,
Which was nice. So
Yeah.
it's finding the balance between creating our own family traditions around holidays versus making sure that we're continuing what our parents did years ago.
And I think it's also creating your own nuclear family tradition. Like
Mhm.
we struggled when we first started dating. She had her own nuclear family tradition for Christmas, and I
Christmas.
had mine.
Yeah.
And we had a huge argument one time because we spent so much time at her family one time that we didn't get a chance. We went to go to my Aunt Debbie's house, and everyone was leaving because we got there late. And it got to a point
That was
where-
Thanksgiving, I think.
That was Thanksgiving?
Mm-hmm.
We had got to a point where we were like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, we have to figure out what works for us, and if they'll come to us. And that ended up becoming a thing now. We go to Jamaica for New Year,
Mm-hmm.
where in the past, we used to be like, we have to be with our family to bring in the New Year. We're going to do it in America where everyone's there. And we were like, you know what? We don't want to bring the New Year in America. We want to be in a different part of the world, do something different. And
Yeah.
now both of our parents join us
Right.
with our kids.
That's like
to
the
do-
holiday gift
Yeah.
for our parents. So it's like instead of buying y'all something for
Yeah.
Christmas, it's the experience of we're going to ring in the new year with the kids having their grandparents and their
Mhm.
parents close by, and we do it in different places. Like this
Yeah.
year,
Those holiday
we'll be
memories
somewhere
stand
else.
out way more now.
That's
They
what
do.
I'm thinking.
They do.
Versus just like a meal, it's
Yeah.
like we had a whole experience
Mhm.
around this.
Yeah.
So that's
We-
one thing that I saw that we were breaking as a tradition that I felt guilty for at first, but now I'm kind of like this.
One thing I say that is important too is we also don't shame our family for breaking traditions. Like my brother just got married, and he has 2 bonus children. Well, he hates saying bonus children; they his kids.
His kids, yeah.
But Father's Day came around, and I was like, "Yo, we all gonna be down here, Papa Scoop," and da 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 da. He was like, "Man, they planning things for me." And rather than being like, "Oh, word," so now you gonna do something? No, I was just like, "Oh, that's what's up." You know, and it's like allowing them to create their own traditions creates a safe space
Yeah.
where we don't guilt each other for creating our own memories with our own kids.
Yeah.
So I think that's important that we do for our friends as well. Plus, I got one that I know you two especially will remember. I don't know if you grew up like this, Tribble, but I used to go to church 4 days a week, every week.
Every week.
And I don't even go to church every Sunday anymore. And that is a tradition that I broke purposely. Like, and I'm not anti-church. I'm not anti-spirituality. I'm definitely pro-God, pro-spirituality. But going to a building from Wednesday to Sunday and spending most of my time there trying to appease people who are super judgmental is no longer part of my life.
Trying to appease and try to...
Yeah.
You just get tired of it after a while.
Yeah.
And it's not to say, oh, I don't believe in God anymore. I don't believe in the system of church. I'm just tired of this.
That's
right.
Yeah.
The shenanigans that happened there.
For lack of better words.
Yeah.
I'm sick of that.
Especially as you get older, because, you know, I grew up also going to church with my grandmother and grandfather often, an Adventist church. And when you're younger, it's cool. You go to Sabbath school. It's a great place to kind of congregate and socialize with other kids and whatnot. You learn a little bit about the word. And for me, sometimes it was just like the fear of like, oh my God, I'm going to go to hell. Like, you know, so you go through those phases.
That's how they preach it to you. Like, you don't come to church, you go to hell.
You literally learn that. And then you get to a point where you're old enough to kind of like start to see people for who they are. And it's just like, you're not quite walking in the path that is righteous, or you're not practicing what you preach. So I can see why. And then you had all the extracurricular church stuff. So there was the other activities, not just church on Sunday, but
it started
all the other
Wednesday
activities.
Youth Council, Thursday Boy Scouts, Friday was junior choir rehearsals, Saturday morning was junior layman, and Sunday was church. So that's like every day other than Monday, Tuesday that I was in church, and it was my whole life. And I know people always say this, well, you don't not go to the hospital because everybody is sick. You know what I'm saying? You should still go to church even though everyone is sick. I say, yeah, if I'm going to receive something. I know for a fact that there are people in my family who no longer receive what they're looking for in church, but they still go out of habit.
Anyway.
And they complain and bitch and moan about it. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. You don't like that guy that's leading the church, but you still go, you still give your 10% out of loyalty to God. God never said to be loyal to a church, ever. Said find the right church home, but in the Bible it also says 3 out of 4 church homes are going to do it wrong. So you just being loyal to a church home because your family's tradition
was to do that.
That's not something I believe in. So, you know, and unless, and we may find a church home, because I'm not against that. We may find a church home soon that we say, yo, we go here every Sunday. But as of right now, I don't have a church home.
I think a piece of that is starting to learn for yourself some of the teachings, because a lot of teachings that we learned in church they misunderstood it when they were taught. So they're just preaching misunderstanding and adamant about it. So and when you get older, you start to zoom out and be like, oh, let me go learn this for myself. So I don't need to be there every week, but I can still find a way to connect with God.
Right.
It's true.
And there's a way to do it too. Like I also grew up, and this is where we met when we talk about he and I, you know, first going to the same school together, Bethlehem Baptist Academy. My parents at the time too, because my mother grew up in the church in Jamaica, and she was at church every single day as well. She also, when she grew up, was like, okay, I'm not going to do that to my children. But in order to have them somewhat rooted in the foundation, learning about God, was sending them to a school where on a daily basis we learned about God and religion and like all of the foundational things that you needed to have in conjunction with school. So for us to now have our children in a Christian school, it's giving them the opportunity to be rooted in that on a I guess like a fundamental level. So then at home, we see it as parents for us to do devotion with them or to have small lessons and to get them the tools that they need to kind of bridge the gap between what they're learning in school and having Bible classes and then doing the work at home as well.
Yeah. I grew up in an apostolic church. My mom left the church maybe like right before she turned 40. So I was like 9. And I started going back to church in high school myself, like by myself. But
did you go back to apostolic church?
No, hell no. That's my point. Because I'm like, I ain't wearing no damn skirt every day. Like, you got me messed up. Apostolic church, you got to wear a skirt to your ankles.
There
used to be this girl.
Really? Not all. Some organizations are stricter than others.
Right.
Then
like
you also have American apostolics and you also have Jamaican apostolics. So some are way stricter than it depends on organizations and stuff.
Yeah, bro. At the church we went to, it's you had to wear a skirt to your ankles. There was this girl that was my age, and she was like really a stone cold stud. Like if she wasn't in church, She was a tomboy to the bone.
Stone Cold Stud is
Stone
hilarious.
Cold Stud. But
That's
she was wearing
hilarious.
this damn skirt. She probably still got this skirt on today. I'm like, take the skirt, put some basketball shorts on. Sis,
they
it
won't
kind
let
of
her.
look like shorts. I
And
mean,
they
it kind of
won't
look
let
like
her.
skirt. No, and people really choose not to. And so I didn't want to do that. I broke away from that tradition of like strict religion, and then
Yeah.
like nobody really likes you when you always Bible thumping at them. You know, people didn't
feel
want to
you
come
on
over
that.
my
Down with
house.
people.
I
My
feel you
cousins
that.
never wanted to spend the night because they'd be like, "We ain't going to church. We can't do that."
I ain't
I
gonna lie,
understand
my
that.
family was like that because
Mhm.
everybody in my family was either an apostle or a pastor or a deacon or
deaconess,
so some of my friends was just like, man, I ain't going to your house, man, because your mother gonna be talking about going to church, and I ain't trying to hear that. Like,
Yeah.
that's a fact. Like,
Nah, that's a fact. Because I remember trying to go outside to go play basketball one time with my neighbor. My dad was like, "Nah, they got to come over here and do their Sunday school lesson like you do. You're not going outside to play basketball though unless they come here." I was like, "What? Nobody's ever coming here to do
are
that."
you
bro.
serious?
Wow.
And you know what?
Serious.
As a parent, I understand that your parents want to know who
The
your
kind of
friends
children
are.
you're around,
And I
yeah.
get that.
This is my next door neighbor.
But yeah, wow.
Right. So he
Come
knew the
on,
You know
family.
man.
them.
Come on, Pops.
You see them every day.
Pops, come on, man. But that's the
He
judgment.
was maybe just trying to spread the word.
No, that's
Maybe
the
it
judgment.
But
that
then
I
there's
put
hard to
church.
do that.
extremes. So
Yeah.
they're like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not
Right.
messing with y'all no more." Because he's just gonna be preaching down on me. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. It's like,
Right.
well, I just
See,
want to play basketball.
I'm glad you brought this up because it brings me to the next tradition that we broke. I no longer tell my kids, call so-and-so.
Mm.
I make it a point to tell the elders in our family, if you want to have a relationship with my children, it goes both ways.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Because I grew up
I like
That's
that.
true.
with my mother telling me, did you call so-and-so? Did you call
Yeah.
so-and-so? And I'm like, they never called me. You're a child. Call them. And I'm
Till
like,
this
what does
day.
that mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I only do that with Jackson, for example, if I know, like, for example, somebody reached out to him, was like, oh, how's Jax? I texted him a couple times. I didn't hear back from him, but they also understand, like, he's 14.
Yeah.
Like, they're
Yeah.
not going to engage in, like, a long back and forth text with most.
Some of them do.
Yeah, some of them do.
Yeah.
Some
And then they
trust it.
have the relationship with who they have the relationship with. So
Right.
to your point, the adults who want to invest in those relationships with our children do.
Yeah, but you said it, though. You said that they said I've reached out to Jax a couple times. He didn't reach me back. I tell Jax then, too, like, you got to respond
You
to
got to
text.
respond. Exactly.
But I'm not just telling Jax, you'll pick up your phone and call so-and-so.
Right.
Not if that person has never reached out.
Right.
And
Right.
Me and my mom got into an argument about this
Mm-hmm.
because I felt that pressure. You
Yeah.
want
My
me to-
mother used to tell me the same thing.
Same thing, right? Call your uncle, call your grandfather, call your... And I'm
Mhm.
like, bro, my birthday passed 3 years. I never heard
From
never
them.
heard
Why
from
am I
them.
Right.
calling them right now?
Why am
Yeah.
and I stopped.
And my mom's biggest thing was you never wanted to reach a point where you need somebody for something and then you have to call out of necessity because you need something.
Yeah.
You should be
True.
maintaining relationships with people.
Absolutely.
And it's a part of teaching children how to just maintain relationships in general.
Period.
So don't wait until you need or want
something. That is a
something.
fact.
You
I
should
agree with
have
that.
an ongoing relationship with certain people so that way you can feel comfortable if it does happen where you need help, you can call. I have cousins in my family. I'm the oldest on my mother's side, and there's 15 or 16 of us. And I have cousins who my aunts will sometimes say, oh, I told such and such to reach out to you because they're trying to get this done or they wanted some advice on this. And I can tell that they don't even feel comfortable to reach out to me because we don't have that relationship.
Yeah.
I have out of the 15 of them, maybe 4 who will just reach out to me randomly, even to
Yeah.
Val, and be like, yo, what's up? Hey, checking on you. How's the family?
Junior,
Real quick.
my boy,
Yeah,
son. That's
real
my cousin,
quick. Like
Junior.
there's certain ones who do that, but then there's ones who probably can't even fix their fingers to text me and ask me for something because they don't even know, they don't hit me up regularly.
And here's
Yeah.
the crazy part. You have cousins and I have cousins that we don't even have to have a relationship. If
Yeah.
I can help you
I'm going to
with
help
something,
you.
I'm going to help you regardless. So
Absolutely.
don't maintain a relationship with me just because later on you might want
Need
something.
something.
Maintain the relationship because that's a relationship you want to have.
Right.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like it shouldn't be like quid pro quo.
Right.
You know,
Exactly.
I'm-
Here's how it goes.
This is family.
This is what we need to do because I'm going to
Yeah.
help regardless if I can. That's just our makeup, you know?
Mhm.
I got one
So-
small one based off of that. The tradition of just telling your kids to do stuff without explaining it. Like
Mm.
explain the
Ooh.
reasoning behind things. Because half of the stuff we ever learned as kids, we would just yell at you have to do this. This is
That goes
do
with
this,
yours.
do this,
With no
do this.
explanation.
Yo, this
yeah.
whole
And then you
episode is
ask
going
for
to
why.
Matt.
It's like
Just get a whole
this is
episode of
Matt's
Matt,
episode
yo.
today. Matt got some
Matt got the
grievances.
grievances.
But no,
Yeah.
you're right.
You're right.
It actually piggybacks off of one of
She
mine
had
that I
one too.
had, and mine was children must be seen and not heard. That's a tradition that we're breaking.
Yep.
I want to hear from my children.
Yep.
I want to see how they are. I want to feel how they feel. I want them to express how they feel. So that's actually really spot on when it comes to mine. It's like we are trying to raise children who are emotionally intelligent, who can express how they feel, who can have empathy for others. Like, I want my children to be heard.
Now, I do have to give some cultural context as to why, because I asked my grandmother why that was a thing, right? All I'm going to say is Emmett Till.
True.
In the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, young black people, men and women, but particularly black men, were not allowed to have opinions or ideas because if they shared them to the wrong person, they could find themselves hanging from a tree. Lynchings were very real. And most of the time, it was outspoken black males that they wanted to make a point.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? To say, listen, if you act like this is how you'll end up. So when I asked my grandmother why you raised us to not say nothing, she said, my job while you was here for 8 weeks was to get you back home to your family safely. And I don't need you talking back to the wrong person, and I can't send you back to your parents.
Right. Especially knowing a kid like you, for example, who was outspoken.
She literally
said specifically you, DeVal. It's going to get you in trouble.
Your mouth going to get you in trouble. You know what I asked my grandmother one time? She slapped the shit out of me. The dog shit out of me.
Nothing surprises me with you as a kid anymore.
She's like, boys, come inside, right? So we all come inside. And she was just like, didn't I tell y'all we got up early? We had chores we had to do. We had to mow the lawn and trim everything. Now, mind you, we was 10 to 13 years old. So I was about 12 because Brian was 10, 12, Devon's 13. Didn't I tell y'all to mow the lawn? Didn't I tell y'all to do this stuff before y'all started to go playing? I said, man, I got a question. She's like, what? I said, you believe in God? She said, where are you going with this, DeVal? I said, I just have a question. I can't ask a question because we do Bible study like every night. Every night in my grandfather's house, we do Bible study. She said, yes. I said, you say you claim, and this is where I got slapped. I said, you claim to believe in God, but you also taught us that if we all come together in groups of 2 or 3 and more and pray, all things will happen. How come we can't just pray that the lawn get mowed? Why we got to go mow it? She said, bow! She didn't even let me finish. Yeah. She said, don't play with me and don't play with God.
Don't play with God. You're playing in God's face right now.
You know how, she slapped the shit out. Now, my grandmother never hit us with her hand. She hit us with a fly swatter, a shoe, a belt. But she felt so disrespected by that question. And then I followed it up and I said,
of course you did. Won't leave well enough alone.
The fact that I got slapped means you really don't believe in God.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. My grandfather said, Charles!
Uh-oh, we know what time it is.
He came in there with that belt, boy. He laid into me.
Did he beat you like we said? Wait.
He beat me like this. He beat me like that. But he was just like, it's blasphemy.
He probably laughed at you.
You can't
too.
tell. No, he was definitely, like, knowing what I know now,
yeah,
he wasn't really trying to be hard on me.
Yeah.
He was doing what he needed to do to separate me from my grandmother in that moment. But listening to her fear was that one of her kids would not be home because they talked too much. So the way they raised us was out of fear. So now, since those fears aren't the same, lynchings aren't a thing that happen, and I'm not going to say ever, because they still happen, and it may not be a lynching where they hang you from a tree, but you still see young black kids, and it's not just boys now. Right. Young black women who are speaking back to cops, like a Sandra Bland. What's the other young lady who tried to speak up for her friend and she was murdered by cops? It's things like that have black parents afraid to let their kids speak up. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to add that historical context because I don't want people to think that our parents were just these evil, mean people who wanted to silence us. They grew up at a different time,
for sure,
where the consequences were grave.
Absolutely.
You know, but as things change, now we're making those adjustments so that our children are more vocal, you know? So
Right. And still within reason, because our children also know that you can say what you want to say within the realms of spaces you feel safe.
Like authority.
You know, respecting authority as well, too, because they are still 4 black young men who will be in this world. So you have to have the discernment and know, you know, when and where.
And shout
Everything
out
has a time and place.
to my Uncle Frank.
Yeah.
Because my Uncle Frank's my godfather.
It's my guy.
He is the guy who used to take me to Roy Rogers and let me express how I feel about stuff and never judge or shame me.
What's Roy Rogers?
Roy Rogers is a restaurant. This is how you know man is young.
Look at Josh disrespected. Josh
I was born in 1991.
Baby. Yo,
I don't know
Roy
what y'all
Rogers
talking
had the best freaking fried chicken.
Roy Rogers used to be on.
It don't exist no more. I get it.
Flatlands in 84, right where that Wendy's used to be. That was a
that
Roy
Wendy's
Rogers.
Is it still there, right now?
Yeah, the Wendy's
it's still there.
But
Yeah,
that
it's like
used to be a
79,
Roy Rogers. And it was like You know how when you're traveling down 95 and you go into a rest stop and they have chicken wings,
Yeah.
burgers, hot dogs, fries.
Yeah.
It actually have all of those type of foods, but you could actually get like a Boston Market type of meal and sit
Okay.
down and eat it at a fast food restaurant.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And he would let me
was
explain how
good.
I felt, but then he would also say, because he got a deep voice like this, you know, son, there's always a time and a place, and there's always a way. Your biggest issue is not what you're saying, it's how you're saying it.
Yeah, that was my problem.
And I had to learn that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I
Yeah.
think that's in part of the reason why our parents were so like, until you learn how to say it, you gonna get popped in the mouth.
Mhm.
But how do you teach them?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's you see.
That
it?
was what I was gonna say.
That's the missing
Yes.
I think
component.
That's
it's
the missing
more
component.
dangerous for you not to allow your kids to speak up and for you not to give them language for how they feel. Because then kids grow up to be adults who act out.
You
Kids
absolutely
who act
right.
out grow up to be adults who act out because they don't know how to say what it is that they're feeling or thinking. So that's
Mhm.
way more dangerous. And then
Mhm.
when you know, a kid is talking to you and you pop them in the mouth, you're still not teaching them
You're not
how
teaching them
to
anything.
say or how to express how they feel.
Yep.
I just discovered this last year that like, you know, being emotionally avoidant isn't like a natural characteristic. It's something that I developed as a child
Mhm.
because I would cry, I was a crybaby, and people would laugh or tease me or make me shut up. So there was no teaching of like, use your words, explain to me why you're sad or why you're upset or how I hurt your feelings. So now as an adult, somebody hurts my feelings, I'm fucking pouting. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Yeah,
I
you
don't
don't
even
care.
know what to
Yeah.
say.
Mhm.
I can't even begin to fix my mouth. So, and then you got to try to repair that. And in the meantime, some people never figure that out and don't understand why
fact.
their relationships suffer
That's a
because they
fact.
don't know that they don't know. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
so
That's a
true.
Yeah,
fact.
you got to let your kids speak up.
And that
So
also
true.
is why we're making the change, because
Mhm.
we've been through it and realized it, and like that we can't do that to our children.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you can't just justify behavior like you said because it's tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Just because my parents did that don't mean that I'm gonna do that to my kids.
Mhm.
You know better, you do better. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And realize when you're doing it. You know how
I think that's part of it too. Realize when you're doing it as well. Because sometimes I feel like I'll say something to my mother, responding the same way she would respond to me, and in my head I'm like, I know I shouldn't be responding like this, but oh well.
YOLO.
Go off.
Yeah.
Go off.
Oh,
YOLO.
Go off, King.
Yeah.
Josh seemed like he
It might only be one life after that though.
Josh seemed like he'd say something to his mother under his breath and be like, man, she don't know what she's doing.
Nah,
What?
I don't touch my
What?
mom.
You don't touch your
Yeah,
mom?
I don't touch
I
my
don't
mom.
think he does.
And me and my mom got a relationship where we could banter. Now we can banter. I don't gotta.
That's dope.
Right. She
Yeah,
probably
that is
understands
cool.
your sarcasm too. Like
Yeah,
she
she
knows
does.
who her son
She
is.
don't understand mine.
She knows that. Some days she
She's the
might
first
rock with
person to
it,
understand my
other days-
sarcasm.
I'm
She
sure
was?
she
That's good.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real good.
I know. Cairo a little sarcastic when he ready.
And Jackson.
That's true.
I wanted
Cairo
to chop
definitely
Jackson
got
in the
it.
throat a couple times, and I had to remember that I was Jackson.
He does that with you, I think. He
He
don't
does
really
that
do
with
it with
me.
me
Wait,
like that.
say that again?
I wanted to chop Jackson in the throat a couple times, like seriously, be like, dude, you playing with me right now. But you know what? I'm gonna do the right thing, and I'm gonna explain to you why you almost got chopped in the throat. And most of the times, he gets it.
You understand? Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He don't test me too much, but sometimes it be
You gotta
like,
show him.
yeah, it'd be like, dude, like really, like right now, you want to do this right now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's do this. And now I gotta waste my time explaining something that all you had to do was listen. But if I don't explain it to him, he's just gonna repeat that same
Yep.
behavior. So
Yeah.
I
Yep.
do
Right.
take the time.
Yeah. And Cairo's just so aware. Like he's so like wise beyond his years that he can sniff bullshit out a mile away. So you can't bullshit Cairo because he'll under his breath say something and I'll be like, what'd you say? And he'd be like, nothing, Ma. And I'm like, I totally heard you say something slick. And it was warranted.
Yeah.
But I let him know that I noticed what he said, but I let him rock because the shit was probably true.
Yo,
That's the part I didn't have. Nobody let me rock.
Yeah.
Breaking traditions.
Exactly. Or I'll correct him real
Letting them
quick.
know, like,
Yeah, I'll be like,
get
I
it.
heard
Alright,
what you
he-
said, and that's not how we go about things.
Right.
So you know for next time I heard you. Mommy
Yeah.
hears everything.
Yeah,
And he'd
because
be like, all right, Mom.
just because you're right, it doesn't mean that it's necessary.
It's justified. Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
And they
They
had to
still gotta
learn
learn
that
that.
shit
Yeah.
too. They had learned that shit too.
remember that day where I was screaming at
Mhm.
Jackson out front? I was rushing him to get to practice. This is when he was coming from his teeth
Mhm.
thing. So he was just having a bad day. So I'm rushing like, Jax, we got to be on time. Jax, we got to be on time. He comes out of the front door, leaves the door wide open. I said, yo, you left the door open. And he's looking at me. And I said, you're not going to close the door? He said, you said hurry up and come on.
Yeah, that's one of those.
I was like, so all the other 20 minutes you took doing bullshit was more important. But closing the door, that's where you just like, well,
that's where you drew the
hurry up,
line.
Dad.
Yep.
I see what you're doing. I said, Jack, real talk, if you don't go close the door, I'm going to hit you with this car.
Extremes are crazy. See, my Caribbean ways are rubbing off on him, clearly.
Oh my God.
Is that a tradition you starting?
I will pick up the car and drop it upon your head.
I didn't want to hit him. I didn't want to hit him, so I had to tell him something.
Yeah, you got to say something.
That could shock him enough.
That
And I was just like, Jack, I was
extreme.
blinking. I remember I was blinking because now he makes fun of me. And he makes fun of me so funny.
It's great.
And I started blinking. I said, dude, man, you need to go close the door if I hit you with a Suburban. And he just looked at me and he got out mad fast and ran and closed the Suburban. And I was like, close the door. And I drove in silence to the practice.
Yeah.
Silent.
He already knew.
But you got a
Yourself off the
teenager.
ledge.
Yeah.
Teenagers gonna do that.
Yeah,
to
they're
you.
going to try little things.
That's
They gonna
one
try.
tradition you might want to keep is like when black parents, you don't close the door, you be like, you better go close that door before I close the door on your ass.
That's
Exactly.
not changing.
Yeah,
We're
you
gonna
gotta
keep
use
that one.
We're gonna keep that one.
We're going to keep that one for sure. For sure. My last one was the tradition of caring what people think.
Yeah.
It's a sickness, bro. It literally is a sickness that generations before me have lived by. And I'm sure they had their reasons for being so hyper aware and sensitive to what other people thought. But I'm no longer living my life like that. There has been such freedom in these past couple of years since I've decided to break that tradition that I'm like, why didn't I start this earlier? I would have achieved so much more. I would have taken so many more risks. I would have worked on things harder because
Talk about it,
it
baby.
would have literally set me up for the things that I want out of life, that I'm not answering to anybody else about things that don't matter because they essentially don't matter. So that's something that we're breaking, and we're making sure that our children, of course, are respectful to people and that they have empathy for others, like I said before, but at the same time, truly honoring what makes you happy, what makes you tick, finding your purpose. That to me supersedes what anybody else thinks.
And we changed that by speaking the how we use vocabulary for our kids. For example, and I think I said this on another one. Kids want to get out and go do whatever they're doing, right? So you wake up, come downstairs, we're going to go outside and play. In the past, I'd have been like, yo, did you brush your teeth? Oh, no. All right, well, go out there and not brush your teeth, and all the girls are going to call you yuck mouth, stink breath. And what I'm implementing in their minds is it matters what people thinks about my breath stinking.
I mean, that piece, that matters.
Yeah, but
keep telling them that.
No, but you can say it like this, though. You know what happens when you don't brush your teeth? You can develop gingivitis. You can get infection in your gums. You want to have sores in your mouth. So now it's not about what other people think. It's about you taking care of yourself because you're just supposed to take care of yourself.
It's true. Jackson got his first cavity and he was devastated. Devastated. He was like, I can't believe it. That I had to sit outside. He's at the age now where when we go to doctor's appointments, they escort him in and they're like, Mom, you can wait here. Like he went to the pediatrician for his annual checkup and I was like, I can't come in. And she was like, no, Mom, it's time. It's time for you to sit. Doctor's going to have conversations honest with Jackson. And she doesn't want your presence to intimidate him. So I said, what the hell is she talking to him about that? You're going to be intimidated by my presence. I'm like, what's going on here? You know, but he's 14 and I love our doctor.
Bro,
Shout out to Dr. Smith.
Man.
Listen, Dr. Smith is amazing. She's a black woman who's just freaking amazing. And we've been with her since we moved here. So they're like, it's okay. And she has a son too. He's going to college now and everything. So so we love Dr. Smith. So when that happened, I was just like, what do you mean I can't go inside? So anyway, Jackson had his first cavity. But to your point, sometimes they're going to have to feel. You know, those who don't hear will feel. You got your first cavity, and it's because we have to be on your back about making sure that your oral hygiene is intact. But it's just typical boy stuff that we're dealing with now. Another thing, he gets up and he's just like coming downstairs, his shirt is crushed. You literally have an ironing board and an iron. I've taught you how to iron. Why do you have on a crushed t-shirt? It don't matter, Ma, because no. You are a reflection of leaving this household. You are an Ellis. Do you ever see your father in crumple up clothes walking outside like he's homeless? Do you ever see Mommy out here just haphazardly walking outside? And then I was like, shit, sometimes I do be looking crazy when I gotta drop them to practice. I was like, sometimes I do look a little haphazard.
But that shirt don't be wrinkled though.
But listen, I said, but no, go back upstairs. So what he'll do is he'll go back upstairs. He won't iron the shirt, but he'll get a dry fit that he don't got to iron because there's no wrinkles.
Smart.
Man.
All right, at least we reached a happy medium. You know what I'm saying?
Smart.
At least you thought about that for a second. But yeah, to your point, that's a good way to kind of code it to your children.
Make it about them.
Make it about them and taking pride in themselves and not making it about how they're going to be perceived by other people. So
That's right.
No, I feel like you gotta hear that people gonna talk about you and you stink.
You still
You
gotta
gotta
hear that
keep
too.
telling them that.
Yeah, nobody wants
That's
to be
the
the
one we gotta keep.
stinking, smelly. Everybody remember that one kid that stank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
To
You
this
remember
day.
to
I
this
mean, that's
day.
fair. That's
The one
fair.
kid who had the dried lips, who had the dry up stuff at his
When it comes to
eyes.
hygiene, at
The
least
moat squalor.
let them be shamed by other people.
Wait, what did your mom call it?
Moat squalor.
Moat squalor. My mother said the moat looked like it have yas.
Yas, yeah.
Well, I don't know what yas is.
Yeah,
Or you have eye matter. You have
eyes.
matter in your eye. What's matter? Matter. You have matter, like solid particles in your eye.
I
So
hear what Matt's saying though, because Matt is saying you do have to tell kids that people will talk about them so that they're not shocked
true.
when people talk about
But
them.
it doesn't need to be everything
you don't have to care.
tell. Yeah, you
Yeah.
talk.
They
about
need
it.
to know, like, hey,
Certain things they need
This
to
is what
know that
happened.
other
I
people
agree.
are going to care about
Yep.
this as well.
That's
And
true.
your
that is true.
Your
This is-
underarms, your
It's
breath.
a cruel
matters.
world.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is
Body
very true.
odor, breath, like we all know the encounters we've had with people whose breath stink.
But you should still do it for yourself, though, man. You shouldn't brush
Yeah.
your teeth because
Or
other
take
people
care
going to
of
say your
yourself.
breath stink. You should brush your teeth because you don't want
Yes.
gingivitis.
Right.
It's
Exactly.
Agreed.
self-care.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah,
It's
you
a
know?
twofold conversation.
Mhm.
Take care of yourself and make sure that people don't talk about you.
Facts.
Period. There you go. All right, y'all, let's go ahead and take a quick break and we're going to get into listener letter. So we'll be right back. Guess what, y'all? We wrote a book.
That's right. We Over Me, available in hard copy, ebook, and audiobook wherever books are sold. We got it?
We good.
You going to do it without your iPad now?
I don't have my iPad.
Your iPads, bruh.
Why didn't you?
I didn't know if it was a rehearsal or not. Listen, I didn't want to water down your glam time, baby. And they matched your shirt.
Pow, we're back with Kadeen's favorite segment of the show, Nosy Dean. It has been a pleasure getting a glimpse of your life and success. I have been a supporter for 6 years and have so much love and respect for the legacy you are creating and continuing to build. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on all the many accomplishments and endeavors. More is on the way. I truly admire your relationship and have learned so much from you about life, finances, marriage, and children.
Thank
I am
you.
a 33-year-old Black American woman from Texas with Louisiana Creole roots. I am engaged to a 38-year-old Haitian American man from Boston. Side note, we met at our alma mater's homecoming, Texas Southern University, TSU. 2 years before we began dating, he was in law school and I was in grad school. I was in a relationship with a Nigerian man at the time, but when I met my fiance, I knew he would be my husband. We never talked or hung out after that encounter, but once I ended my relationship with the Nigerian, my fiance took a shot and swept me off my feet. We have been together for 6 years and have a healthy relationship with each other's family. All is well on our end. I wanted to know your thoughts on colorism and classism amongst Black Americans, Caribbeans, and Africans. The reason why I ask is because growing up in the Deep South, I witnessed colorism and classism in the Black American community. Prejudice stemming from the Blue Vein Society, brown paper bag test, and the comb test lingers in the Black American community today. After meeting people at school and in the workplace who come from different backgrounds, I realized that Caribbeans and Africans can be this way too.
Absolutely.
It may not be as prevalent like it is in the Black American community, but it is not unusual. It upsets me that Black people act this way because they fail to see that unity is better than division. I would also like to add that Black American versus Caribbean versus Africans propaganda is whack. What are your thoughts? Is colorism and classism a generational or systemic problem that requires education, forgiveness, and more acceptance? Do you think this is something we can overcome? If so, how?
Yeah. Dial back a couple seasons to Culture Clash.
Yes.
Then we did a whole episode on this, Deval being of Black American, descent,
Yes.
and then me of Caribbean roots.
The first thing I want to point out is that colorism is not just isolated to Black culture.
Mhm.
Right? That's one thing that Black people like to say online is that we the only ones arguing about color. That's not true.
Mm-mm.
In the Indian color,
Mhm.
Indian
Culture.
and Latinx culture,
Mm-hmm.
all of these cultures aspire to whiteness because of colonialism,
Mhm.
right? Colonialism over generations
Yep.
of time made people of color feel like the closer you are to whiteness
The better
gives you
are.
a better life.
Mhm.
And because of all of those generations of feeling that way, people of color tend to want to look more European so that they feel like they're getting an easier life. Now, things are starting to change, as I'm not going to say colonialism is dying, but the world is changing. But yes, colorism is real. It is a real thing. If you look at Black American culture, the brown paper bag test, for people who don't know, was this test that the closer you were to a light brown paper bag, the better you were going to be accepted, not only just in Hollywood, but for any profession. If you worked in Wall Street, and that just wasn't just for women, it was for men as well. Before the brown paper bag test, many black people passed, which means try to act white or pass for white if they were lighter complexion, not only for financial gain, but to survive. You know, because if you grew up in Jim Crow South or the Deep South, if you were a black person, you were in danger of being terrorized. So many black people acted white if they could pass so that they could survive. These are the traumas that not only black people, but Indian and Asian and Latinx people, all
Caribbean
have had to go
in
through.
general,
Caribbean, the same thing. All have had to go through. With that being said, yes, we will all be better off together. We just have to change what beauty standards are.
Right.
Right? Like our beauty standards when we all started this thing was whiteness. Pin straight nose, straight hair. What were the other things for European? Blue eyes,
eye color,
which is crazy to me because
body structure.
Light color eyes is an African trait. Like what people don't understand too about beauty. Let's be clear about beauty standards. The darkest, blackest, most coarse-haired woman with brown eyes can make every other color. That's just a fact. So Europeans come from black people, Asians, Indians, everybody comes from black people. So the beauty standard should be what? Black people.
Yeah.
If we can start to understand that, we would no longer look at each other as the enemy, because it doesn't matter how dark or how light you are. We all come from the same being. And for me, that's how I've reconciled with it. That's what I teach my boys, right? I teach my boys, like, listen, we all come from different walks of life, but you can't judge somebody or tell somebody where they belong based on the color of their skin, or even worse, the complexion of their skin. And the minute we all start teaching our children that, and that goes from generation to generation, it will change. But do I think there will be a change in the next year or 10 years? No. This is over. And I remember 1619, we talked about that was 400 years. Colonialism goes back before that.
Yep.
So we talk about thousands of years of race baiting. And here's something I do want everyone to go watch. There's a documentary on HBO. It's called Exterminate the Brutes. And it talks about how Europeans used Christ and the church to dominate the world and to validate themselves for going over to the indigenous people and taking their land, raping their women, taking all of their worth and discarding them as less than human, because the Bible told them if you're not a white Anglo-Saxon, quote unquote, Protestant, then you don't belong on earth. The more history you learn about humanity, the more you realize that colorism and racism was all a made-up construct to divide us. And then once you know that, you realize that that person opposite of me, no matter what they look like, is my brother.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it.
That's how it was in Jamaica. My mom didn't have any concept of racism until she came to America. And then remember, that had to be like a discussion that you had with my parents to explain American history, Black American history, and why it was such a sensitive topic. Because to my mom in Jamaica, she said, yes, colorism did exist, but everyone also still coexisted respectfully amongst the Asians, the Indians, the Blacks who were in Jamaica. So that was the component of the Caribbean and how we feel about colorism. But I think the funniest part about all of this conversation is that the aspiration was to whiteness, where we have whiteness trying to aspire to be like us.
People of color.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
The bigger lips, the bigger butts, like they combing their hair, tanning. Like there's an aspiration they have now. So it's funny to see the tables turn over time where they're realizing the beauty in our Blackness.
I'm glad you brought that up.
I wouldn't say now though. They've alwaed known, and they've just profited off of it by doing it.
Very true.
Very true. You're absolutely right. They always knew. They've always wanted that. They've always aspired to that.
But you know what's funny? That's what we got to start teaching our kids, man.
The truth.
The history of our people don't start in 1619 with slavery. The history of our people started way before that. We need to start learning about the civilizations before America became America. You know, America, I learned this in school. Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492. So why do we start Black American history in 1619? Why don't we start Black history before that? What was happening in 1392? You know what I'm saying? What were the kingdoms of Africa looking like before they brought us over here?
Right.
I think that if we knew that history and that enriched history, we would find value in the way we look.
Right.
Instead of telling us, well, you're a slave because you look like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then kids grow up thinking like, well, I don't want to look like this if this means I'm going to be a slave. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we actually were never slaves. We were enslaved. But I'm never going to tell my child that my ancestors were slaves.
Right.
That's just not, we were enslaved and we came out of enslavement.
Absolutely.
And the beauty exists in everything that we've gone through.
Yeah. Good one. All right, y'all. If you want to be featured as a listener letter, be sure to email us at theellisadvice@gmail.com.
That is TheEllisadvice@gmail.com.
All right, moment of truth time. We're talking about traditions that are made to be broken. Do you have anything for us today, babe, for a moment of truth?
Yeah, a lot of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Look at yourself. Look at your life. What would you like to change about yourself and your life? And rather than projecting all the negative things that you didn't like growing up on your children, do something different. Mm-hmm. Break the tradition to give them a different perspective so that they can then break those traditions with their children and we can be better as humans.
Yeah. I think mine was just like, it's okay. It's okay to be like, you know what, this no longer serves me. This no longer serves my family. This no longer serves the family that I've created. It's okay to say, you know what, I want to try something different. Start that trend. Still making time, of course, for family, extended family to get together and have those moments so the memories can be built and created. But it's okay to pivot and say, you know what, I want to do something different for the legacy that I'm trying to create for my future generations moving forward.
Mine is, it's okay to do something different. And if you don't like when you tried it, it's okay to go back to that old thing, but try something different.
That's I like that one. It's okay to go back.
Yeah, that's true.
That.
I like that.
Good stuff.
Appreciate it.
I like traditions. I'm a traditional type of guy, but I don't make traditions my religion, and that's the difference. So
don't make tradition your religion.
Yeah.
All right, now bars.
There it goes.
Bars. Everything getting clack. I love it.
Triple.
I mean, we didn't really talk about this, but some kids still need whoopings. I don't know if that tradition needs to come back.
No, it does.
But, I don't think we should
Some
totally
people
throw
need
that
a
one
hot
out.
box.
Yeah.
It's true.
Ass whooped.
That is a fact.
This whole YN movement is proof
that you beat your kids.
Yeah, because they think it's cute.
They
and
didn't
it's
get
not.
boxed at all.
They were soft parented.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That wouldn't happen if because I was definitely afraid of my 5'2" mom. And I wasn't playing with my pops. Boy, I knew they would put hands on me and wasn't nobody gonna save me.
Absolutely not.
I think we
there was
will
a
always
fear.
have YNs. I think the amount of YNs we have right now is the issue.
Yeah. They're just making it socially acceptable to be a YN. And it's like,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Don't nobody who
trying to
asked for
glamorize
that?
this.
Nobody asked for that.
Because you're going into your prime as a white a YN.
Yeah.
Your structure is not good. Your foundation is not good. It's terrible.
It really is terrible.
That is a fact.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Traditions are made to be. You know, in closing, my friend Latanya, she just said something in a caption under a photo that she posted for her birthday, and she talked about the importance of building legacy for her family, for the people that she won't meet. And that made me so emotional in that moment because I'm just like, we're thinking of traditions and the things that we're doing to build a legacy. But I never for once, I'm thinking of my children, of course, my children's children, but I'm not even thinking about the generations of people that we're not going to meet, that are going to carry the Ellis name, that'll be a Joseph. And it's just like, man, the decisions that we make now, the traditions we put in place, hopefully our children and our children's children and the future generations will see value in that and be like, man, I came from a lineage that was so strong and rooted in pride, you know? So that's really, really cool to me to think about
dope.
those
That is deep.
people we're never going to meet, right? Shout out to my boy. Your wife over there being profound. All right, y'all. If you have not yet, join us on Patreon. We're having mad fun over there. We have Ellis content, family content, Ellis Ever After content, and the exclusive after show where we be cutting up once the cameras cut. So you can find us on Patreon, and you can also find us on social media at Ellis Ever After. You can find me at Kadeen I Am.
And I am DeVal.
I'm _Matt.Ellis.
And I'm Joshua Dwayne.
And I'm Tribs the Cool, TRIBBZ, the cool on everything.
And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, be sure to rate, review, and subscribe.
And don't forget to download the episodes, y'all. It'll help us out a great deal.
Please.
Please.
Please and thanks.
Love y'all.
Got.
Ellis Ever After is an iHeartMedia podcast. It's hosted by Kadeen and Deval Ellis. It's produced by Tribble. Video production by Joshua Duane and Matthew Ellis. Video editing by LaShawn Rowe.